This is not going to be an exhaustive, like full breakdown of all of this stuff. That would just be impossible. Okay. So I'm giving you the cliff notes to this. All right. So capitalism. First of all, let's just define capitalism. This is what I want to do. I want to define capitalism. I want to contrast it with socialism. Then I want to talk about late stage capitalism. And I want to talk about the connection between late stage capitalism and Christianity. All right. That's what we're going to do during our time together over these next few minutes. So capitalism is an economic system. And what makes it distinct is that capitalism is an economic system where private citizens and organizations own the means of production. Ideally, capitalism fosters a culture of innovation and competition. So it comes down to who can make the best products and offer the best services at the best price. Ideally, that's who wins the day. Capitalism is all about supply and demand. I want those who are with us right now to type supply and demand in the comments because that's going to come up again later. It's very important. Capitalism is about supply and demand. If there is a demand for something in the market, anyone with the necessary resources can supply the market demands. That's capitalism. So supply and demand, individuals and private organizations own the means of production. Now, let's contrast that with another economic system. We usually hear capitalism contrasted with socialism. So let's contrast that. Socialism is an economic system where the means of production are not owned by individuals, but rather they're owned by society as a whole. And the government manages the distribution of these resources. So take, for instance, like healthcare. Our healthcare in our capitalist system is provided by private companies. Aetna, United Healthcare, Anthem, which is now Elevance, whatever your healthcare company is, it's a private company. But in a socialist economy, there aren't any private healthcare companies. The government oversees healthcare in that situation. Now, socialism can sound really scary to people because American propaganda paints socialism as the boogeyman. But I just want to tell you, some of the happiest countries in the world are socialist countries. Now, contrary to popular belief, the United States is not a pure capitalist economy. I don't know of any countries that are purely one particular economic system. We're not a pure capitalist economy. The primary economic system in the United States is capitalism, but there are socialist components. Take, for instance, my business, P Squared Custom Clothiers. It is a capitalist venture. We supply P Squared. We supply alterations and custom clothing to our customers who pay us directly. No government entities are directly involved in these transactions. Like, that's capitalism. It's between us and our customer. Nobody else is involved. That's capitalism. That's my company, P Squared. But when the pandemic hit and nobody was buying clothes because wasn't nobody going nowhere, the PPP loan that we got from the government was socialism. So my company received government assistance to stay afloat. That's socialism. I said all of that to say that these economic systems are amoral. That means they don't have a moral stance. Capitalism is not inherently good or bad, and socialism is not inherently good or bad. But in our context, capitalism has become a cancer. And here is where the term late stage capitalism enters the chat. Late stage capitalism refers to the form of capitalism that we are currently living in right now. And I'm going to just give you 3 characteristics of late stage capitalism. Number 1, and I want you to pay attention to these characteristics and tell me if you can connect some dots to these characteristics and what we see in Christianity. Number 1, labor exploitation. In late stage capitalism, there is always labor exploitation. The working class does not make enough to secure its basic necessities. And to help clarify that point, I want to share this video from More Perfect Union. All right. If you want to check them out on Instagram, it's at Perfect Union. It's a news source for working people, for the working class. All right. And here's a video that helps us kind of crystallize this conversation about labor exploitation.
What do you think is the largest form of theft in the United States?
Probably identity.
Financial.
Merchandise theft.
Corporate.
Or taxes.
Tax evasion.
Yeah, I would say robbery. Fraud.
I'm going to say car theft.
Car theft.
So what if I told you it was wage theft?
Wage theft. The employers not paying their workers.
So it can look like a lot of things, like maybe you work overtime and so they're not paying you time and a half. They have you come 30 minutes early, but they don't pay you for the 30 minutes early, that kind of thing. It's about $50 billion annually that employers steal from workers.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Isn't it a lot of
That's
money? In 2019, it was estimated that the total cost of all robberies in the United States was $482 million. So the total cost of wage theft is about 100 times that.
Definitely sounds like a problem.
Especially undocumented people or people that have records or, people that are blackballed, that's terrible.
Wage theft is the largest form of theft in the country by far. Employers stealing money from their employees by getting them to do work that they don't pay them for or they underpay them for. So in late stage capitalism, number one, you got labor exploitation. Another characteristic, oversized multinational corporations. When you look at our economy, like take, for instance, Meta. Meta is one of those oversized multinational corporations. Meta owns Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and WhatsApp, just for starters. All right. These corporations like Meta, Tesla, Apple, the Alphabet company, which is Google and YouTube, like they have more money than most countries. I heard an economist earlier this week say that Samsung has its own private army. Dead ass. It tripped me out when he said it. All right. So late stage capitalism, labor exploitation, oversized multinational corporations. And then number three, a concentration of financial capital. So the majority of the financial capital is held by the top people financially in the company. So in our country, in the United States, the top 1% of people have more wealth than the bottom 50% combined. The top 1% has significantly more wealth than the bottom 50% combined. That's what late stage capitalism looks like. Now, to close this out, I just want to address one aspect of how Western Christianity is very much aligned with late stage capitalism. And I want to lift that up by talking about the teaching of tithing in many of our churches. Now, I'm not saying that tithing is bad. I'm talking about the way tithing is taught. The way tithing is taught in many of our churches is very, very capitalistic. Remember earlier, I asked you to write supply and demand in the comments. Here's where it comes back up. The way tithing is taught in many of our churches is fear-based supply and demand. The church uses fear of divine judgment to manufacture demand for divine favor. And the church convinces you that only the church can supply the divine favor that you need. So if you want to get this divine favor, you got to come through the church. So they tell you, if you don't give, God is going to curse your finances. That's divine judgment. They tell you that if you don't give, God is going to curse your finances, divine judgment. But if you want God to bless your finances, divine favor, you need to give at least 10% of your money to the church. It is purely transactional. and it's rooted in fear, and it prioritizes the institution over the people. Now, when you compare that to our jobs, many of us have the same relationship with our jobs. We stay at the job out of fear that we won't be able to live without the job. Not because we love the job so much, not because we appreciate being here. We just know we can't survive if we don't have this job. So we get exploited on our jobs the same way many of us are exploited by our churches. Let me end by saying this. Capitalism is not the problem. Christianity is not the problem. Greed is the problem. Any economic system controlled by greedy people will become oppressive to the masses. If greedy people lead a capitalist economy, it's going to impoverish the people. If greedy people lead a society, a socialist economy, that brand of socialism will impoverish the people. Hey, thank y'all for watching this segment all the way through. The entire recording of this episode is exclusively available in our digital community. You can subscribe by visiting holysmokesmovement.com and just click join our digital community. And if you enjoyed this segment, I'm sure you're going to enjoy the 2+ hour recording we did on this topic. But not only that, you'll have access to the TFC ecosystem where hundreds of us discuss these topics every day. And not only that, you can watch all of our full-length podcast recordings on demand in our digital community. And not only that, you can get the gratification of supporting a movement that's supporting you. And who doesn't want that? So again, holysmokesmovement.com, click join our digital community. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to get more free content from us just like this. And we'll see you right back here next time, where we are deconstructing harmful theology and building beloved community one cigar at a time. But like, you did know, you don't have to smoke cigars to be a part of this, right? Like only 15% of our community smoke cigars. I'm just saying.